Oh, go suck your mother's tit.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
All right, everybody. It's one fucking hour time. That's right. Get ready for it because it's the show where we talk about one goddamn movie and we have just one fucking hour to do it. I'm Evan Husney. These are my blue blockers. I don't know if I'm allowed to wear these on the show, actually.
I thought we agreed no sunglasses.
Yes, okay. All right, I took them off.
yeah.
I took them off. All right, they're off. Don't worry.
Unless we all get to wear them.
Yes.
We should
All
do
right.
it.
I'm Evan Husney, and what do we got here? To my left, we got Miss Rémy Bennett. Rémy, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Of course. To my right, and we got returning champion, Mr. Marcus Herring. What's going on?
What's up, guys?
Yeah.
1969.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing 69 now. Yeah. Wait,
Ministry.
what is it?
Do you have a ministry
No,
sample?
I have. Of course, which is the next
Close.
best thing. Yep. 69.99. All right. So, yeah, that's right. Of course, we've been doing this whole shtick now for the past 19 episodes where we're covering one film per year per episode. And we started in 1950. And now we've chronologically gone all the way to episode 169. So tonight is a movie from 1969. And we force picked it. Very excited. This is a film that we've been talking about for a long time on this show. I feel like it's one that we had shortlisted for a while. I know Tom was a big fan.
Yeah.
And so lots to address there. And what the hell are we talking about? We're talking about Frank and Eleanor Perry's Last Summer. That's right. There it is.
Rollicking good time.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a little apropos to be covering this film right now because as of just a handful of months ago, the film finally came out on fucking Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
That's a very big deal.
Was not on my radar at all. It was actually, we announced we were going to do it, and then I was like, oh shit, this movie isn't even available to watch anywhere. And then our listeners commented below saying, well, the fucking Warner Archive Blu-ray just came out. This is not a sponsored show, but go out and get it, man. The Warner Archive people do great work. And
that was like a big project to get that.
Huge project, because this is kind
Decades.
Yeah, literally.
decades, kind of like a pseudo, almost quasi-lost film, you could almost say. The only way I had seen it was that fucking TV rip that you could only get on the torrent sites.
Oh, right.
It was a long time where this movie was not really seen in any really good sort of copy. And so this is like a breath of fucking fresh air, seeing this movie.
Yeah, it
like
makes
this
such a difference too.
for the first time. Wow. So, wow. Definitely get your hands on that. All right. Well, before we get into that, I got two little pieces of business here I wanted to get away at the top of the show. One is right before we step our toes into the 70s, because our next official episode will, of course, be 170. We're going to start getting into the 70s, guys. It's here. We did it. We got through the slog of the old stuff to get to the 70s. But before we do that, we want to do one little thing before we get to the 70s, and that is we saw a new film that is out in theaters. Everybody's talking about it. Rémy saw it, right? Rémy was patient zero on the show. And we felt that we had so many feelings about it. I don't want to give all of our feelings away about it, but we had a lot of feelings about it. And I thought it might just be fun for us to kind of air out the laundry, so to speak, on this. So what we're going to do, something a little different, a little fun before we get to the 70s. Mark your calendars, everybody, because on August 16th, that's Sunday, August 16th at 8 o'clock Eastern, we are doing our first in a long time. I think our first in over 100 episodes, our first live stream in a while. So 1 fucking hour live we're going to be doing. And what are we doing?
Toy Story 5.
No, not Toy Story 5. We're going to be doing a call-in show. We're going to be doing an on-air call-in show talking about the Odyssey. Wow, guys, this movie. Okay, so real quick, we're going to kind of host it. It's going to be a live program. We're going to have a phone number on the screen. You can call in. You can talk to us. And we're trying to kind of create a safe space that people can speak honestly about the Odyssey, because, don't
Or about Christopher Nolan.
Or about Christopher Nolan, because that's one and the same there. And you can call in, we can talk. It's a safe environment, because, we know that, you might not want to, put your 1-star reviews on Letterboxd and get all the hate mail from that. So this is a safe environment, sort of a support group for the Odyssey that we're going to be hosting.
Your tracking that goes along with your
Oh my God, Peter Thiel is tracking you.
Exactly. So safe environment. It's going to be a call-in show, like an old school radio show where we're going to take calls from the listeners. We want to hear your thoughts on the Odyssey. We'll share our thoughts on the Odyssey. We have many. We have lots. I bet you can't guess what they are. And so that's going to be August 16th on YouTube, live right here on this channel, 8 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, August 16th. Tune in for the Odyssey call-in extravaganza. Can't wait for that.
It's very excited about this.
Very exciting about this.
The phone lines are filling up already.
Yeah, I know. We're going to have a phone bank a mile long. Okay. All right. So, and the next piece of business, of course, before we get into any sort of episode on this program, happens to be a shout out to the 1 fucking hour Patreon. That's patreon.com/1 fucking hour is where you can sign up for just $5 a month. And it's the best way to support the show because it gives you instant access to all of our bonus episodes, 24-hour plus early access to every new episode. You get to see that shit before everybody else does. We have a whole backlog of audio commentary tracks and bonus after-hour shows, which we're going to have a new one, hopefully very soon, where we've been teasing it for a while. We do got to get into this, guys. Soon. We got to figure it out. Where we're talking about our red flag films.
Oh, yeah. We got to do that.
What are the first date no-nos that if someone brought up on a first date, if they mentioned, hey, I like this movie, how fast would you be running for the door? That's a red flag film. And we're going to talk about our most red flag films on the next bonus app. And the only way you can hear that is by signing up for the Patreon, patreon.com/1 fucking hour, or scrolling underneath this video, clicking the join button, and becoming a moment of the YouTube channel. You support, and we appreciate all the support. Thank you guys so much for everybody who signed up. And of course, every dollar earned from both Patreon and YouTube go directly to support our 1 fucking hour brother, Tom Fitzgerald, who of course is on medical leave from the show. Shout out, Tom. We love you. This is obviously episode is dedicated to Tom because he's a huge fan of this movie. So shout out, Tom. Get well, brother.
Do you know how Tom first discovered it?
I bet a cable. It smells like a cable, Tom.
Yeah, probably what he
Cable
was like
Tom discovery. Because I know this film did have a history on cable, which we'll get into, I'm sure. But all right, guys, are we ready? Should we do it? I think we're about ready to do. Okay, so here we go. Let's get the clock locked and loaded, guys. Hold on to something. Here we go. All right. Gonna read a little synopsis action. This is just taken directly from the back of the Blu-ray. Here we go. Set during a languid season on Fire Island, We're going to talk about Fire Island. Last Summer is a stark and unsettling coming-of-age drama that captures the disaffection and moral drift of the late 1960s with unflinching honesty. Directed by Frank Perry, of course, who directed Diary of a Mad Housewife, and adapted by his wife, Eleanor Perry, from Evan Hunter's provocative novel. The film follows 4 teenagers played by Barbara Hershey, Richard Thomas, Bruce Davison, and Catherine Burns, who, in an unforgettable Oscar-nominated performance, of course, she was nominated, whose summer of idle freedom and social detachment gradually gives way to tragedy. Shot in a naturalistic style, Last Summer eschews easy judgments, instead presenting a chilling examination of youthful entitlement and emotional void. Perry's restrained direction and the cast's fearless performances lend the film a haunting authenticity that resonates long after the final frame. Last Summer is one of the most powerfully daunting and uncompromising films of its time. So there you have it. Last Summer. So again, as we said, this movie was really hard, next to impossible to see for decades, unless you had a Cinemageddon login, pretty much. And I think what's pretty noteworthy about it, someone on the commentary was kind of underscoring this, is that watching it now in hindsight, something we might take for granted is obviously a film genre I know Marcus loves very dearly in the late 70s and in through the 80s. You know, the boner comedy or sort of the idea of, sort of exploiting the teen sex sort of proclivities and things like that.
Like hard bodies or...
yes, joysticks and screwballs and things of that nature. Those types of films would be more commonplace. You know, to see a film in 1969 that was really going, was very cutting edge. This film was very cutting edge for its time because it's essentially coming off the heels of all these AIP teen films.
Right. Well, and those are like the juvenile delinquent movies and the biker movies.
The beach party films.
Yeah, right. They had mentioned like Annette Funicello. So it's like, beach blanket bingo. Like, so,
Yes.
yeah. So it's kind of like that sort of like exaggerated cartoonish stereotype of the teeny bopper.
So this is the
It's almost like a
antithesis.
subversion of that.
Yeah,
right?
this
Like
is-
subversion of
Yeah.
a beach blanket bingo movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
And something that was like just much more close to
Authentic.
reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of like really what it kind of looked like for teenagers, the way they talked, the way they acted, what they might be getting up to.
And the dark side of it as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Like I think for Eleanor and Frank Perry, they really had a desire to make a film that was more authentic and gritty about youth and of course youth sexuality in movies and have that sort of more accurate representation. I think it's important to, shout out in the One Fucking Hour archives. We have covered one of their films many episodes ago, probably well over 150 episodes ago, but we did The Swimmer in the archives. Shout out. If you've not seen that film, it's fantastic. Even though, of course, Sidney Pollack Frank Perry was fired from that movie and Sidney Pollack did direct a portion of it, but still, they've made a bunch of great films together. David and Lisa, of course, Diary of a Mad Housewife, as we talked about, Ladybug, things like that.
Swimmer is like a singular film. Like it's it's hard to compare it to another film. It feels very unique.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the story itself, I mean, I think it's interesting. The two adaptations that Eleanor made, with those two movies, The Swimmer and Last Summer, have like this kind of parallel subject matter in terms of sort of like exploring the darker undercurrents of like the affluent sort of leisure class of the sort of like East Coast, Connecticut, up, New York City, upper, Westchester type people, and sort of what the kind of like chilliness and apathy and sort of the despair kind of like underlying that.
The malaise,
the ennui.
Yeah, because, this movie's set in Fire Island. And of course, this is, families who have access to some sort of vacation rental or their own home on the island.
Yeah,
of
they have a
course.
second home.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like people who have second homes and
Second home problems. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And it's interesting because this movie is exploring kind of like that transition from adolescent to teen years. And then The Swimmer is kind of exploring more of that middle-age crisis of someone who's had that sort of affluence and their world is crumbling.
And both are based on literary works, and both also kind of use sort of a metaphorical, connection to explore, just the sort of existential crisis of one or more of the characters. Of course, with The Swimmer being the idea of, swimming home. What's his name again? The actor.
I'm not gonna remember
Wait,
that.
Burt Lancaster?
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
Burt Lancaster swimming home.
I'm swimming home.
You're swimming home?
I figured out there's a river of pools all the way to my house.
Crazy idea.
With this, the bird, as we see, the bird in this film is definitely metaphorical to the character of Rhoda.
And innocence.
And the
lost.
innocence, of
but
course.
What I just thought of now, too, which is kind of cool, is that like the adults in the swimmer are like the parents that you don't see in Last Summer. Like the people that are around the pools at the kind of languid pool parties during the scenes in the swimmer are like, the people off camera in Last Summer.
I've heard that it's this idea of like the kids in Last Summer are the children of the parents in the swimmer.
Yeah, it would make sense. It would be the same sort of like social group.
And it's because the kids are really kind of they're kind of left to their own devices in Last Summer. There's no real parental supervision. They're all kind of
like
left.
in Mad Men, how like John Draper never sees his kids, or he's just off doing his pursuing his own like drinking, sex life type thing, and then every once in a while goes back home.
Yeah, exactly. So they're just kind of on their own, left to kind of whatever. And of course,
it's not just that they're unsupervised; it's also that like the parents are also fucked up people.
Totally.
I mean, like it's in the. I was reading the book today, the Evan Hunter book, and the book goes into a lot more like sort of like a bit like the lives of the parents, and there's a bunch of scenes during like cocktail parties in Fire Island where the teenagers are sort of present, but like Peter's dad is like a terrible alcoholic. Then you have like Sandy's, stepdad, who obviously is a lech, who's like, attempting to like sexually creep on her.
Feel
the
up her
mom
dress.
the mom is like oblivious, having, seeing these men. They're all all the parents are inebriated constantly. It's also a very like less than zero vibes too, like very Bret Easton Ellis.
Yes.
Like what? Yeah.
There's that weird deleted scene too. Not to get into deleted scenes, but like there's like like a TV edit for this film. They cut stuff out and they play it on TV, and then there's like an inserted scene that doesn't appear in the film anymore, and it's Bruce Davis. No, it's the other guy's dad, right? He's passed out drunk,
right? That's
at
Peter's
the gate.
dad.
So you actually
Richard
did
Thomas.
film that stuff, but then kind of like smartly.
I want to watch that scene. It's so funny because like
it's on YouTube. Yeah,
it's on the special feed. I was just about to watch it, but I ran out of time. But it's so funny because like part of me like wants to see those scenes. And it's funny because in the commentary they were saying like, oh yeah, like, I'm so glad those aren't in the movie, and it's so cool that it's like more like just completely this contained Neverland, Lord of the Flies vision.
Lord of the Flies,
where like you really don't see the parents, and it's like the parents are like this, Peanuts kind of in
off screen, almost.
It's Snoopy, like. But part of me also like loves the idea of kind of seeing that interaction. But it's something you can also imagine, and I like the kind of moment with like the whatever character. She calls him Snow White, and he's like the boyfriend of her mom, and he's like grotesque with like the clammy, pale face and disgusting, just like total disgusting creep. Yeah. But I think it helps to get like a little bit of a taste of like what that context is and where they're kind of coming. I think it gives it a nice bit of like, I don't know, context a little bit.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. So, and the reason I brought up the episode we did on The Swimmer is we did go pretty deep from what I recommend on, contextualizing Frank and Eleanor Perry and their collaborations and, a little bit of their backstory. But I think one thing that's good to shout out here is that, they are, I think, name checked as some of the more important figures in the American independent film movement of this time period. First and foremost, they were the first, Frank Perry, I think, was the first director to be or did Frank and Eleanor both direct David and Lisa? Rémy, do you know?
She wrote it and he directed it, I believe. She previously had gotten her master's in clinical social work in psychiatry. And then she was making like films about mental health and then became a like noir crime novelist with her first husband. And then when she met Frank, then they started collaborating, and then she would write the screenplays for the movies that he directed. So then David and Lisa was totally independent movie, which was all about like two teenagers as well who were like suffering from mental illness and sort of like mental collapse in like a school, which I think was probably somewhere like similar, like kind of a rich boarding school in the East Coast.
Right. because, it's kind of like write what you know. And she sort of comes from a background like that. And I think as we'll get into this, the character of Rhoda is kind of loosely, she put a lot of herself into that character, I think, in the way she adapted the story. But just shout out. I mean, Frank Perry was the first director to be nominated for an Oscar, for Best Director for an independent film. So, these guys, Frank and Eleanor, are huge in terms, right up there with Cassavetes in terms of, this isn't an independent film, for example. So not a lot of that going on at the time in America. So pretty cool. So shall we get into the movie and just kind of walk through it a little bit? All right. So the movie opens up, of course, right in Fire Island. And the movie opens essentially with these three characters meeting each other straight away. Of course, you have Peter and Dan, I believe, and they meet Sandy, of course, played by Barbara Hershey.
I do love how it gets started right away and you get dropped in, like almost mid-action.
Yeah.
And it's that's the best, that's like, it's almost always our favorite thing about the 70s movies, I think, is like that they start right away. They kind of assume that you'll pick up on it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You'll kind of get your bearings in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you get immediately drawn in by the sort of the interesting thing that's happened with the seagull.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the structure of how the movie proceeds is really interesting too, because it's just like, it doesn't like have like official scene endings a lot. Like it sort of cuts to like the next moment, and it almost like kind of transpires in the way that like a memory does, I feel like, like if you're remembering your summer, you don't remember like every day that happened, like, it comes to an end. You just remember all these little scenes.
That's true.
That's how it's stuck.
And also it's with summers, it always feels like they blend. When you have memories of childhood, it's like the days and the summers are blending sort of.
Right. Like when it cuts to them in the movie theater, like they were out on the beach, then all of a sudden they're in the theater and you're just like, oh, they went to the movies, it doesn't show them like, all right, I'll see you tonight. And like the car picks you up and drives you there and they're walking in.
No.
You get rid of all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah,
and there's something about like having it set on Fire Island too, because I grew up going to Fire Island when I was a kid. That was like where my family had a summer house, but it's funny because, and like it really did feel like Never Land, because it's like you don't wear shoes. There's really no cars on the island, and so the parents actually. I remember being a kid and I wouldn't see my parents the whole day. And, you're like running around, like picking blackberries, doing whatever, like you're doing, you're just on your own because there's nothing that like, anyway, it's interesting because it's an enclave. Like what's interesting about Fire Island in particular is like, it's very separate. It's like it's in its own little universe. So like, and then when you're there, it's like, yes, it's kind of, there's not much there. There's not really restaurants, you're kind of living this strange, almost like dream world that's repeating every day. You're at the beach, you're walking down on the boardwalk. It's not, it has a kind of like a dream-like feel because it's separate. You're separate from the mainland, from the rest of the world kind of thing. Yeah.
Beware the local teenagers though, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So we meet the three, and of course, Barbara Hershey's character, Sandy, is helping this seagull. So obviously, something is wrong with it. They see that it has sort of swallowed a fishing hook, and it's very upsetting. And I think that's also quite metaphorical, too, is this idea of, what we were saying earlier, the innocence of this bird. And of course, something terrible has happened to it, and there is something there that they must take out from within. And it's pretty graphic. In terms of like holding open this beak. Yeah, the beak is very freaky looking, and especially when it's like covered in blood when they're pulling the hook out. It's pretty crazy. So instantaneously he kind of wants to impress her by doing this, the Peter character, and he's able to do it. And after both Peter and Dan have kind of needled her a little bit about, why don't you just let that bird die in peace?
Why don't you let him die in peace?
No.
And of course, she wants to save this bird. That's where she's coming from.
What are you going to do with that sweet old bird?
I'll make him my pet.
There's just something about how they interact with the bird throughout this entire movie that's just really disturbing.
I'm boss here. I'm absolute ruler over your world, and I have absolute power over you.
Totally.
They don't treat it like a living thing. They feed it garbage. They tie string to it. They're like pulling its mouth open.
Yeah, like it's a toy.
They're really fascinated by it though, and their world is sort of centered around it.
Yeah, it is very
but then
strange.
like experimenting with it, and like Yeah, it's just, I mean, of course, it's going to mirror something that we see later on.
Of course.
Yeah. But yeah, because there is like almost like a type of that kind of like listless like boredom too. Like when every day is the same, you're kind of like you don't have access to much. It's like they have these little projects like what the project is the bird, then the project becomes teaching Rhoda to swim, then the project of like the computer date. It's like you kind of come up with these little activities to like pass the time. But it's interesting with the bird because at first you feel like, oh, like this character, Sandy, she's very like connected to animals.
Yes.
She has this empathy, like almost in the way Marilyn Monroe was in the Misfits with animals, like that's a very like pure part of it. And so at first, like you're a bit sort of led down one road with an assumption about her.
Right.
And then like Marcus, like you say, as the movie goes on and the way they're treating the bird, it's like, it is like a plaything.
You're going to get a pile of the most delicious garbage on this island. Now fly.
Right.
And instead of letting it free once they get the hook out, she's like, no, I want to keep it. And it's like, it's mine. And it becomes
And she wants to train it. And of course.
Yeah. Which is
and
weird.
Yeah. So, and then already from the jump, the sexual tension is already there.
Yeah.
Because, both Peter and Dan want to get with Sandy. And that's evident kind of in the energy right off the bat. And of course, there's like this love triangle that's instantly formed. So we cut to the next scene where they're sort of like rock and roll dancing. I love that scene. They're kind of grooving together. Yeah. And there's a great shot from underneath them where like with their three heads kind of pressed together. And that is just a great visual, connection to like, okay, there's something between all three of them here that's going to form and is going to be deep and obviously going to go and be very disturbing.
There's like this like really crazy manic electric sexual horny like vibe. That's like
throughout this whole
like,
film. Yeah.
And it's like hot and it's sweaty and it's weird and they're like laughing a lot in this very strange, almost like maniacal. Yeah. Like it's like everything's a bit like off in the way they're also like behaving. Like it's heightened. It's like the hormones and the energy.
Pheromones.
It's all weird and
off the chain. Yeah.
It's off the chain.
I think that's definitely like, that's where I think the parallel with just the beach films, the Avalon and the Gidget films of like, 5 years earlier, like, and that contrasting is kind of important because it's like, those films had the same sort of like sexual tension,
under the surface,
partying,
the Archie-ness of it all.
But it was like sweetened, like comic and sweetened, and like it made it feel like, oh, this is just part of sweet Americana, kids making out in the truck or whatever. And then this is like all that innocence is like taken away.
Yeah.
Of it being much more feral, like it's like very animal. Whereas like if it was like Annette Funicelli in a bathing suit, it's like, oh, she's so cute, and this is like, I want to tear her fucking bathing suit off.
Yeah, this is like pure like hedonistic and narcissism. And cruel,
dark and cruel, and like it's like very like almost like Garden of Eden, like like hedonistic, almost like the base. But I think that's also that age, like where it's like you're coming out of puberty. Because she's supposed to be in the book, she's 15 and they're 16, and so it's like very much that age when you are first discovering. Yeah. Maybe those are the times when you're actually having sex for the first time, but it's like, it's very, it's kind of animalistic in the way that like your desires are very heightened.
And she probably has now, she knows, she can not control, but she knows what sexuality she's projecting and how to manipulate these two guys and to maybe friend zone one and then work on the other and, that type of thing, right?
But I think you also start like playing with that energy because that energy is also very like new in a way. So it's like, it's powerful and like interesting and stimulating. And I think everyone is like, it's like this ball of energy that's like bouncing around between the three of them.
Let's talk about that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, just in a weird way. Like, I feel like they're, I've read the Perrys were going for like some realism. They wanted to do a beach movie with like realism and the way kids really act or whatever. But for me, it goes like beyond like what a person would act. Like it's like they've torqued the dial a little bit towards like
it's heightened,
way heightened. So I feel like it's by walking away from it, I felt like, oh, is this like an indictment of like youth or like an indictment of this generation? And it made me think about it's 1969. There's like, people are thinking that like society is falling apart. The kids are going, the Perrys are a little bit older generation. They're looking at these like hedonistic young kids. And I was watching like the Easy Rider behind the scenes, and Dennis Hopper is going on about the 60s saying like, oh, the world was falling apart and there was no morality and we felt like there was no laws,
Yep.
And then that was like, at the cinema we're watching this, and I was thinking like, that is what so this movie is like what they were afraid would happen to this generation of people with their sort of like hedonistic narcissism, and like the wreckage that it would leave behind.
And it kind of was happening. So it's like an interesting thing where it's like every generation of older people feels that way about a younger generation, but there was something that was so, I mean, we talked about it.
Except for now, it's like Gen Z isn't even having sex now.
But then we're complaining about that, or like, they're vapid and they can't connect and they're all fucking white supremacists or whatever.
We're still also talking about the boomers leaving like mess behind.
Yeah,
well,
so it is. It's like such a big conversation, kind of, because I mean the '60s. We talked about that in the Trip episode when we were also talking about Easy Rider. How there was so much going on. There was like, there was social unrest, there was social change, there was a Vietnam War, there was civil rights, there was assassinations of incredibly important public figures. There was, so many things women's liberation was just kind of starting to appear in certain ways. There was like, the hippie movement had gotten out of control. LSD, like we were talking about, like Haight Ashbury, like ended up being, like just runaways and drug addicts, and people were like, "We've lost it."
Right.
Like
and Charles Manson.
Like the year prior, they were talking about how they were like inventing like a new. Like reinventing morality, like around like free love and drugs and stuff, psychedelic experience. And then within a year,
watching all that explode and kind of
into darkness,
the spiral. But and that's like Easy Rider as well. The end of Easy Rider with them getting shot, and so like in a lot of ways, this is like the death of the counterculture of the 60s. And, like you were saying, the Manson murders would happen a few months after this movie came out.
Altamont,
Ultimate. Ultimate.
That is like one of my favorite, and Tom's too. I remember like I was talking a lot about like the bad vibes of the 60s.
Bad vibes.
The Black Sabbath and
the Bummer era.
Yeah. All right, real quick though. So let me circle back around here to what we were saying previous, which was the sort of maniacal heightened energy that's evident in the performances of the characters.
Right.
So there's what is referred to as the truth serum scene, which is really this next sort of set piece that we get here. First, it opens with these beautiful shots of them running around the kind of foamy beach, and like the music is great in that scene as well too, if you recall. But they're sitting down kind of in this little tarped hut that they've kind of makeshift, and they're drinking beers, and they propose this kind of truth serum moment where, and it's very evident that both, Dan and Peter are, hitting on her simultaneously. They kind of joke about, and they kind of almost go under her skirt, and they do these things, and they dare her to take her top off.
Yeah.
And things are starting to get very outrageous and a little uncomfortable. And, and they're kind of giggling like, we got to be like this all the time. And
we really got to be like this all the time.
Yes.
I mean, no crap, huh?
No,
really?
no.
And things are getting very awkward and very uncomfortable.
The voices they make, like the weird, like silly voice, like it's like you were saying, Marcus. It's all very. Their behavior is super heightened, and the way they're like speaking.
But what a contrast to any freaking other movie, that would have teens in it at this point. I feel like it's just so wild. One spills beer on her and kind of like necks with her, and then they run off into the beach, and it's a really crazy scene. But yeah, very just I don't know. That's kind of the first scene where like I feel like the movie really is drawing you in to like where this dynamic between them is about to go.
It's like that experimentation phase that it's a weird phase. Like it's a really weird time, like to remember, because it's it ends quickly, that moment in your life.
Right.
And then you start just having normal sex with people and dating and and then it's like you forget about that time kind of, but it's a really weird few years where weird shit happens.
This is like extra weird though, because it's like almost it's like reefer madness levels of like maniacal laughter when they're just drinking a beer. Like
it was disgusting.
It is great.
What a creep.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
No, I totally agree. but it's like it's a weird
There's a giddiness about it.
choice. Like I think Frank Perry was making that choice specifically. Like they're
Yeah,
almost
it's a
on
choice.
this weird fucking euphoric high. Like it's almost like the energy between the three of them is like some, I don't want to say it, like demonic, but it's like the energy is it's
dark.
really charged.
Yeah,
And so I think
charged.
it's hard to translate that with the performance. Like for instance, in the book, like it's kind of easier in a book to kind of, I think, like illustrate those kind of weird vibes.
And these-
like it's almost like they're not under a spell, but they've been like taken under this. In a movie, I think it's hard
They
to.
can't control their own emotions, really.
Right. I guess like newly discovered liberation, like being able to freely explore yourself, can make you very excited and give you that sort of like elation.
But I
or
think
like,
it's about these people together. Like I think what the
Yes.
book is trying to say is that like it's not any three people.
It takes
like,
it's
these
really
three.
hard. Yeah. It's like so hard to identify with these people.
Yeah, but I think it's like they came together and there was some weird energy.
Energy.
Like, do you know how that can happen sometimes? Like I remember having like a best friend, shout out if she's listening, but like where I don't know.
They're gonna wonder who.
You never know
which one it is.
But like
And
where
what
we had a
happened.
like crazy shit like this did happen with us.
Yeah.
We were crazy shit. I'll tell you guys another time. But but it's like we had this energy when we were
After dark?
together. It was like we would like roil that up in each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the darkness would come out and we'd inspire bad behavior. Anyway.
At this rate, we're gonna need more than an hour. So here we
we
go.
weren't going to have enough to talk about.
I know. Here we go.
I'm really sorry. Okay.
Okay, no, it's good. But I'm just saying. Okay, so that gets us to this scene too, where kind of the first little hint of like, okay, there's something more beneath the surface, with these characters. So this is where we see Peter and Sandy on the boat together. She's kind of filling out a computer dating profile, which is very weird to see in 1969. Of
I
course.
know.
But Peter's getting almost weirdly jealous that she's doing this kind of gag computer dating questionnaire.
She's also like playing with him.
No, of course. She's
like doing that thing where
She's
you
been
want to talk about
Yes.
being sexy with each other, but you don't want to say you're being
Exactly.
sexy with So you're like talking about something sexy in front
Yeah.
of the person. And then,
Yeah.
so it's like foreplay, but in a very like cheeky.
Totally.
Everything is like going about the sexy in a circuitous manner. And like the
which
foreplay.
feels authentic for teenager high school people. Like it's like, and he awkwardly kind of makes the pass where he's like, I want you to take off your top again.
I want you to do it again.
Take off my top?
Yeah.
And it's just like, and she's just like,
he's like a little horny kid who's like fixated on that moment where she's just like flinging her top off and she's kind of like having fun with like that.
well,
power,
she's just
right?
trying to I think she's trying to be in that sort of flirtatious space without like directly addressing the matter at hand. And he kind
Well, of course,
goes there.
because it's like you're doing it and you're kind of playing. You're playing with them,
Right, but-
knowing that it's kind of driving them crazy.
Right, exactly. But he goes there and it's total fumble because she's like, oh boy, and it's a very failed attempt at making a move. Things get very weird and awkward.
Well, she takes her top off.
But she's kind of like, don't be afraid. I'm not afraid,
Come on,
Look, I
forget
want you to
it.
see me. Don't be afraid.
I'm not afraid.
You're lying.
She's like, don't lie. And then she takes it off, but it makes him very uncomfortable and he can't
course.
even look at her,
No, of course, but that's the intention. Like that's what's so weird and interesting about this movie, that it's not about him being like, hey, let's make out. Like
No, of
it's
course.
about her like, let me sit here with my top off and pretend
Yes.
there's nothing wrong.
Yes.
And I'm gonna do these questions and watch him go lose his fucking
Yeah.
mind.
And he's like, you can put your top back on.
You can put your top on now.
And he looks like he's like about to like just completely tweak out. He's sweating. And so like that's the kind of dynamic that like is being played with. It's a pressure cooker.
Right.
And so like that's we're leading to a conclusion, but like that she's playing with fire kind of with these little boys.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. So then Rhoda is introduced in the film. She kind of walks in as the three of them are again sort of trying to get the bird to fly, kind of throwing this bird haphazardly up into the sky, seeing what's going to happen. She comes in demanding, "What are you doing to that bird?"
What do you think you're doing to that bird? What are you doing to the bird?
Let's talk about her, Kathy Burns. She's got a very unique look in the film. She comes in.
Such a cool character.
Such a cool character, feels very lived in. she comes in and she's saying things like, "You're traumatizing him," and stuff like that.
Hey, look, he's my bird. That doesn't give you the right to torture him.
Look, why don't you get lost?
Yeah,
of course,
she's speaking in like
foreshadowing.
kind of like psychoanalytic pop psychology terminology.
Yeah.
Like, shut up.
Yeah, and they're like,
Yeah, and they're like,
"Go
don't
suck your
go suck your mother's
go
tit.
suck your mother's tit."
Oh, go suck your mother's tit.
And they're being very cruel to her.
She's
the top.
like the outsider, She comes
Yes.
into this like threesome, and everything about her is different. It's like
she's harshing the energy. She's harsh in their style,
and she's
for
kind
sure.
of like a nerd, and she's from Ohio, and she's this
She's not
kind
attractive like they are,
right. She has a different look.
Yeah, exactly.
I think she's so cute though.
Yeah. And she comes in and, they're
I
very,
think they're making a judgment on that. I think
Yeah,
that,
of
I think that
course.
is part of the point is that
Yes.
she's unattractive compared to them and like what they're getting away with in society versus what she's allowed to do.
Yeah. And she's wearing the full piece bathing suit. She doesn't have like the skimpy bikini,
Yeah.
that's was trendy at the time.
and we have to also mention too, that it wasn't just the characters in the film that were cruel to her. Even in the reviews, even in the positive reviews to this movie, the reviews towards Kathy Burns were like, "Oh yeah, that fat mushroom-shaped person," or whatever. And that actually, I think, played a big part in her actually eventually kind of being just disenchanted with Hollywood altogether, and
she became like very self-conscious
and like
just-
reclusive, and didn't really have much of a career. I know she was in a few other things, but it's unfortunate because she really is kind of the breakout star of this film.
Yeah, she's
even though
amazing.
Barbara Hershey would go on to be a bigger name, but
Peaches.
yes, but Kathy Burns was nominated for an Oscar for this, so pretty amazing. So then we got to get to this movie theater scene, which is very over the top. This feels like an '80s film right off the bat. They go to the movie theater. They're both reaching for her hands, and they put both. And like I thought it was going to be a gag where she's kind of putting their hands together, like you'd see that in like an '80s romp. But no, instead, all of their hands mashed together in this weird sexual tryst.
Even having that like homoerotic element is ahead of its time, I think.
So absolutely.
For sure.
All their fingers are touching each other. It's very weird. There's a finger to a breast. They're going up her shirt. And
just the idea that it's all once again like being done in this kind of surreptitious fumbling, like not overt, it's all covert. Like the experimentation is all done under the guise of we're doing something else, or we're playing, or we're just watching a movie, but there's all this secret. There's a secret fumbling going on, which makes it even more sexually charged.
Totally.
So it's that's what's so cool.
It's almost
so
like
particular.
and then like the image of them at the end of this scene with like all of their hands like in her shirt, is like it's almost comical. It's almost like a slapstick comedy moment, but it's not. It like works. And real quick, factoid time. Don't spoil it, Rame. Marcus, do you know what movie they're watching?
I don't. I should have. I don't.
Crazy.
Please tell me.
You're not going to fucking believe this. They're watching Pretty Poison is what they were watching.
Supposedly.
During the filming, they had to get a real projection going to get the light on their face, and they ran fucking Pretty Poison, last week's movie. And of course, it makes sense. Frank Perry then, of course, saw Tuesday Weld in the movie and cast her and play it as it is.
Are there any audio moments from? Like, can you tell?
The
anything?
audio is from Summer with Monica Bergman.
Yeah, Bergman.
But they actually
But they're watching
set.
Tuesday Weld.
But they're
sit
watching
on some dead
Tuesday
guy's
Weld.
face.
Yes. A hump of dead man's face. Yes.
Amazing. Of course.
Yeah.
That's what they're fingering and fumbling with is they're getting horny
and fumbling.
They're getting horny watching
appropriate.
Tuesday. Oh, finger it. Sorry, I didn't mean that. Cover your ears, everybody. Okay.
But that scene also reminds me of Virgin Suicides.
Sure.
When they're watching like the school like science presentation. And, Sorry. Anyway, but
Okay.
it's like that classic like.
We got to go. We got to keep going.
Oh God.
I'm sorry. All right. So the next scene here is this is a crazy little succession of moments here. Okay. This is the first twinge of more overt darkness that the film gives us. Mm-hmm. So again, they're playing with the bird. They're trying to get it to fly. Right. And all of a sudden the bird bites Sandy on the finger. And we see that kind of iconic shot that's, kind of one of the big images from the film where she looks very angrily and stern at the bird, and you see the boys kind of flanked behind her. And then the boys are off on their own, and they sort of have this dialogue. Think we might try and lay her? You think she'll lay us? Think she'll let us, have sex with her,
Hey, you think we ought to try and lay her?
Who?
Sandy.
Gee, I don't know.
Think she'd let us?
Let us do what?
Lay her!
I think one of them says, like, if she lets us lay her, that'd be a friendly gesture.
If she'd let us lay her, that'd really be friendly.
That's like...
It's also weird, like, thinking about it, too, that they keep on talking about this as, like, we are going to lay her.
I know.
Like, will she let us? It's like, wait, what? Like, wait, why is that so normal to you
kind of
guys?
expect them to be in competition for her affections,
No, but like, how are they thinking they're just going to double team her? Like, they're not even like thinking that through of like, oh, maybe that'll be awkward.
Or there
us,
is a homoerotic quality
but
to it.
there is
100%.
I mean, they are on Fire Island.
Yeah.
And, I'm not trying to say that in like a joking, derogatory way, but like there's some vibes there that they were showing of like, guys making out.
They did show that in this
also
movie.
was like ahead of its time. But of course, The Pines is, that was like one of the first, big gay communities. But
yeah.
But so also the two boys like look very similar.
Yeah.
And like I know it was mentioning in the commentary too, the way that the costume designer had chosen the outfits. Like they're always wearing kind of like baby blue and baby yellow and like are wearing kind of like different versions of the same with the blonde hair. So it's almost like they're in one way, in like a psychological way, they're actually one person, but two sides of the consciousness like split apart.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, so it's funny that they keep on talking about like we're gonna have sex with her. Yeah.
So while they do that and they're fantasizing about that concept, of course they walk into the woods and they see the bird, the seagull, with its head fucking smashed in, presumably on a rock, covered in blood. And immediately you're like, whoa, what the fucking happened? What happened here? I'm not even sure at first when I first saw it, like, what did happen, And then, of course, they go and they confront Sandy directly to her face. They're upset that she lied to them because we learn she told them that, oh, the bird just flew away. And they're like, nope, you killed the bird and didn't tell us. And so that's really disturbing because she obviously has a very dark side that, she took out on this bird because she was upset that the bird, bit her in the process of whatever. And maybe that's sort of even deeper with her own frustrations that are there. And
it's
and
a continuation
trauma.
of her not treating it like a living thing, an object, for her and disposing of it. And there's this completely insane biographical detail of Barbara Hershey that's also appropriate here.
It's worth mentioning,
After this movie, she changed her name to Barbara Seagull, and she's credited as that in a bunch of films after that. And there's
for like 2 years,
there's a sequence of her talking about this on Cavett, right?
Yeah.
And she's saying like, because the fucking seagull got killed when they're making this movie.
It's horrible.
When they were throwing it up in the air.
Yeah, it died.
It like broke its neck or something.
Yeah.
There's a scene in which I'm supposed to throw the bird up in the air and try to teach it how to fly again after it was wounded. Mm-hmm. And the bird was really traumatized and it wouldn't, kept landing funny. And by the end of the scene, I threw it up in the air and it fell down and it broke its neck.
And she said that when, it died, she felt bad. But what she says is that when it died, she felt the bird's spirit enter her after filming.
Oh my God.
And that's why she took the name Barbara Seagull. So it's so crazy because like that like almost reproduces like the narcissism of her character in the film, that like this animal died. The animal's death just becomes a material for like her own personal sort of mythology.
Well, they used to call the bird like Barbara Seagull on set. So the bird was like her favorite. There was like 3 birds and that one was her favorite bird. And they named it Barbara Seagull. So they would, after her. So they would call the bird that.
Oh, and so then she took the name of
and then one day the bird was getting like really exhausted and she kept like, please can we stop? Please can we stop? And he's like, no, let's do one more. And she's like, no, I really don't think so. I think we need to switch the bird out.
Oh, wow.
And he wouldn't let her switch the bird out. And then finally after like a few more takes, it like died. And then she felt like so guilty about it. And that was Barbara Seagull who died.
All right.
It's just weird to me. Like it feels like she's treating it like an object as
Well,
well.
she switched
rather
it
than,
back.
you know,
I mean, I think everyone advised her against it, and she switched it back after a while.
But so in the movie, the bird bites her, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like she's so angry at this bird.
Yeah.
Once again, as if it's not just an animal who's having like a natural reaction, right? But like she's bringing out her own aggression,
Yes.
like you were saying, Evan, and feeling like this distrust. So it's like, she mentions earlier with the truth serum beer scene that like her mom's boyfriend
Yep.
had been leeching on her, trying to sexually assault her, and I think there's things in her past, like her
Totally.
parents got divorced, her father left, her mom is a probably
Yep.
alcoholic shithead. She gets, the mom leaves her. She's
Yep.
very, whatever. So I
Well,
think
it's
she's
also interesting that the mother also like is vehemently against the seagull being in the house and are being on the deck. She meant the time you hear her mother speak about that, it's off camera. It's like, get the seagull out of here. Even sends in the boyfriend to try and remove the seagull. And so that's obviously a little metaphorical.
So
too.
the
It's like-
seagull's also like her own childhood. It's
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
seagull is like this idea of childhood loss. But I think too, like when a kid like that has so many experiences that create a cynicism in them, you almost, and I feel like I was a little bit like this to a certain extent, maybe.
Whoa.
In certain ways, like when someone is very wide-eyed and idealistic and seems totally innocent and hasn't had any bad experiences, part of you wants to be like, I almost want to ruin that. Like I want to.
Well, that to me is yes, because also I think the way, and then of course the way she treats Rhoda right after the
Exactly.
scene is kind of like, I mean, this is kind of like, the age old story of a bully, right? It's like all that misdirection of their real anger deep down inside.
But Rhoda becomes the bird. Rhoda's being taught to
right.
swim.
That
Rhoda's
is the
identity is
structure.
becoming changed.
Yes.
How Rhoda says in the
That's what-
beginning, you're changing the bird's identity. The bird doesn't know it's a bird anymore, so it doesn't know how to fly.
Exactly.
And so and then they're trying to change Rhoda's identity, getting her the bathing suit, teaching her to swim, inspiring her to be this other kind of person.
Exactly. That's what they do. And of course, Sandy's like, Rhoda, why do you wear such creepy bathing suits? And like it covers too much.
Why do you wear such creepy bathing suits? Do you think this bathing suit is creepy, Peter?
Yeah, it's pretty creepy.
So
And
they're
you're scared of too much, and you should do. And so they're
Yeah.
kind of
they're trying to loosen her up a little bit, and all this stuff. But before we get to the
like corrupt her. They're actually trying to corrupt her.
Exactly. Before we get to the Rhoda swimming sequence, there's another scene here which cannot be ignored, which is the scene where they find a joint, okay? And they're smoking a joint. They're sharing it in the living room of one of their houses. Sitar music, of course, is being heard during that. And you got to love, I think it's Bruce Davison's character is like, no, you got to smoke with just like the side of your mouth open like this.
It's tricky. Keep the side of your mouth open.
Amazing. Love that little detail, like a little schmuck kid trying to talk like he knows what's fucks up.
Yeah.
But
Like, how many times have you been turned on? And
yeah,
it's like,
but
once.
so they get stoned, and of course they have the brilliant stoned idea of let's wash each other's hair. Okay, then there's
shampoo orgy.
totally great fucking handheld camera, just chaotic handheld camera moment of them just like covering each other in soap, spraying water from the fucking kitchen sink, and this is the sex scene ostensibly. This is the orgy scene in the movie, and
It's like
they're
once
giving it to
again
you.
them being able to engage in this lascivious or not lascivious, but like sexually charged behavior
Without doing
still
it.
under the guise
Yeah.
of play. We're just being kids. We're playing with bubbles, but it's like we're also getting really turned on.
Yeah.
And so it's like everything has to have this like
Yes. Yeah.
covert level to it.
Yeah,
So,
it's crazy.
undertone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. So, yeah, Marcus, you said?
Well, this is just one of the scenes that jumps out too of them being without any supervision. This is like where it really stuck out to me, where they're in the house this long, bathing
Trashing it essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, crazy. So, yeah. But then Rhoda busts in and harshes the mood. I mean, for real, she basically comes in. It's a great moment. She has a great monologue here where she talks about when her mother died. So she basically comes in, harshes the style with that, talking about how her mother died and her
They
mother
kind of push
drowned.
her into saying all that stuff.
They do.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
And, but, like she kind of volunteers that, this idea that her mom made a bet with someone that she could swim out to a sandbar without taking a break. Yeah, so that's the story of like, the mom dying, I guess, while she's trying to swim out to the sandbar and dies, and
drunk parents at a party in Martha's Vineyard.
Right.
So once again, like immature drunk parents.
Right.
They're all sort of the product of that.
Right. But great performance from Kathy in this scene. Amazing.
And the framing just amazing.
The way it's shot.
Yeah.
It's a great like kind of tracking or like a panning type shot, it's really cool. And this is also like, it feels like that I don't think this is my own original observation. I read it somewhere, but it's like the scene, the movie kind of changes protagonists halfway through. Like you're following, like you think you're following Sandy.
Yeah.
And then Rhoda becomes kind of the main character in this scene, or she becomes sort of the emotional center of the movie then.
Yeah, for sure.
I like how the movie does that. I like how it also does like, the idea of switching perspectives and like what you were saying at the top, like the idea of Sandy's character being an animal lover, and then we learn she just fucking bludgeoned this bird. It's like there's a lot of misdirection kind of stuff going on in here, which I think is which is just good writing, Yeah. So then we see kind of like the only hint at sweetness between two characters, which is when Peter gets alone with Rhoda. We sort of understand that Peter has a little crush on Rhoda, and he kind of sits with her on the beach and says, "I wonder what it would be like to kiss you." And there's kind of this whole kind of thing happening between them. But then that quickly devolves into a scene between Dan and Peter again, kind of wondering what it would be like to have sex with Sandy again.
And that weird frisbee scene on the dock when and their crotches keep on being framed the whole time. Like,
exactly.
The frisbee is going to each of their crotches back and forth.
Totally. And this is when they're also talking about like, hey, well, I got some protection. I went to the store and got some protection,
We're gonna need a little protection, aren't we? Get that over the mainland. The drugstore. Okay.
I like how Bruce is like, Rhoda, what are you talking about? No, Sandy.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, totally.
Who? Sandy. Now, who the hell else? Oh, I thought you meant Rhoda. Rhoda! Are you kidding?
And then, of course, Sandy gets Rhoda a new bikini, of course, the whole thing. And this is where
she's getting initiated. Like after she tells that story, that was like her vulnerability, her opening up, and then she got her hair washed as like the initiation. And then now it's like Sandy's like, oh, you're going to become my little protege.
One of us.
One of us.
Well, they're putting a little leash on her like they did.
Right.
The bird.
Yeah. Exactly.
Totally. Yeah. So then this is where they come up with this whole scheme where they're going to force Rhoda to go on this date with their number one suitor from the computer dating website. And it's this Puerto Rican guy. And the whole idea is like, she's very against it. I don't want to hurt this poor man, and they're like, you don't have a sense of humor. We just want to make a joke. And she says, I have a sense of humor. I write jokes in my column. I love that.
It's only a joke. Hasn't she got a sense of humor? I certainly have a sense of humor. I write jokes in my column.
I bet they're side-splitting.
Her column is called Feelings.
Yeah, Feelings is her her high school paper column.
Yeah.
But she's really upset about being part of this prank, and she makes a promise. She makes them promise that they won't make a fool out of him. But of course, they will. They go on this.
This is a disturbing scene.
Very disturbing scene. They go on a very feel bad core here. They go on a double date or a quintet date where they all go to this bar where they're drinking together, and they just keep getting the Puerto Rican guy. Whose name is Annabelle. They call him Annabelle.
You got a quarter, Annabelle.
It is Annibal, not Annabelle. Annabelle is a girl's name, no?
Just to kind of,
she like Sandy's like condescendingly calling him Annabelle, like a woman's name, and
exactly
sort of like also that like kind of privileged, bratty little rich kid who's kind of like making fun of this guy, like. And it's like sad because like she's like 15 and this is like a grown man.
That's right.
She's like embarrassed or feeling like the right to embarrass,
Right. That's the whole thing. It's like this very classist, like shitty
totally.
And racist.
And
racist, classist, like for sure.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and so they get this guy wasted, essentially. They keep ordering him drink after drink, and they basically are on their way out of the bar, and they're walking, and he's, and they basically leave him behind as to basically get beat up by these thugs.
The townies.
The townie thugs.
Because those are like like I think that's also interesting. There's like the summer people who like leave for back to Manhattan, and there's like the Long Island kids who are like the townies.
I was going to use the word townies too, and just like I was waiting, but good.
Yeah, sorry.
Excellent use. No. I'm proud of you.
Because that's like a real dynamic, and all of these summer, the Hamptons, the Long Island, like there's the people who live there, the real people, and then there's the summer people,
Right.
and there's always like that tension.
The tension. True.
So I
true.
think that's cool that they brought that into the story.
Totally. And of course they were seen earlier in the film catcalling Sandy, and now they're coming back and they want to beat up the boys, and but now they just leave Annabelle behind to get his ass kicked by them, which is very upsetting. Rhoda screams at them, for leaving him behind, and she gets very upset and questions, "Why did you get him drunk? I asked you to stop." And then she turns over to Peter and she says, "I thought, with me, you're so gentle. With them, And then she calls him out and says, I want to know why you were such a fucking coward.
When you're with me, you can be so gentle, but all I want to know is why you were such a coward last night."
And then, of course, they're saying, "We didn't mean any harm. We just want to have fun."
He can't handle it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, then, it kind of blows everything up, and she basically says to Peter she wants him to go somewhere else, and they all leave, her behind, of course, and there's that great shot of her just kind of sitting alone on the beach, and they start walking into the woods, and this is a very similar sequence to, kind of where, Sandy must have taken the bird, into the woods.
Yeah, ooh.
It kind of mirrors the same location, which is very disturbing. This is kind of all the makings of some kind of like disturbing teen crime story out of the 80s or something.
Oh, yeah. Ricky Casso.
Yes, this is very...
I mean, every teen generation has this shit. It's been going on since the beginning of time. So it's like, it's like that thing of like cruelty. Yeah, kids are cruel. Teenagers are cruel. People are cruel.
Yeah.
I don't think people stop being cruel. But it's just so interesting because in every different kind of generation, it kind of manifests in
It's like the Slender Man thing. Like,
I love the Slender Man story with the girls. Well, it's really similar because it was about that like social...
The shocking detail of like that a girl could do this.
And the pressure of the girls, like it was about that like peer pressure and social cohesion of like, oh, I'm going to sort of, pressure you into doing something very, very dark. So anyway.
Yeah. And I think, with this film just in general, I don't feel that, they're trying to make a statement that, teens are bad or whatever. I think they're trying to make a broader statement about just the, what the human being is capable of, like, or the sort of inhumanity of humanity.
Well, I was thinking about like the Lucifer principle too. Like that was what the Stanford prison experiment was all about. And the idea of like how people, seemingly totally normal, mentally sound people can be pushed to do vile atrocities when they're under like almost the spell or social cohesion pushing them towards that in a powerful situation that anybody could be pushed to that.
Right.
I mean, Heavenly Creatures is another really great one with like the friendship and they're sort of overtaken by this fantasy and then they bash the mother's head in with the rock. I mean, there's something really interesting about that.
This movie reminds me of kind of like of Heavenly Creatures a little bit for sure.
Yeah, because they're sort of getting frothed into this frenzy of like sexuality and love.
That was a true life story too.
And that was a true story. Yeah. Wow. So it's a good topic. I like it.
It is, and it's wild that it's in '69, and and of course it would be just as relevant, decades on, and in these other stories. So anyway, back to the movie. They Dan and Peter follow Sandy towards the woods. And Rhoda, of course, decides to tag along. But before we see her, Dan, of course, is like, I got the condoms. And he mentions that he's got the condoms and the whole thing.
Guess what I got? What? Guess. In here. Oh.
And Rhoda decides that she doesn't want to be alone. She starts running after Peter. And she's changed her mind. She wants to tag along. And they go into the woods. And they're in the woods. And Sandy demands that, Rhoda drink a beer. So then this is already getting really tense and disturbing here because Rhoda says she doesn't like the taste of beer. She doesn't want to drink a beer. And they're basically forcing her to do so. They're being very cruel here. we see Sandy pouring beer on her boobs, and
it's really
crazy,
it's hot and like sticky, and the forest has that like it's all kind of getting to the boiling point.
And also there's something about like Sandy's appearance in this scene where she looks more feral, like she looks more like not as put together, and she looks a little more dirty.
Dirty.
Like, looks dirty. Like
this is like the Lord of the Flies movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Totally. So she's
because they're kind of in dirt. They're like kids who are naked in dirt. Like the boys kind of have that Lord of the Flies look too. Like,
and the heat and the whole thing. Yeah.
Being on an island like that, like isolated.
And even though it's building up, I still think like what happens is ultimately very shocking, like you still aren't really prepared for how dark it's about to get,
Exactly. This is, here we go. So, so Sandy takes her top off, and now she, of course, making Rhoda very uncomfortable. She's like, put your top on, Sandy, and then now they're egging Rhoda on to take hers off. Take your top off, Rhoda. Do it. And then she's begging and pleading, turning towards Peter, the only person she thinks has a glint of humanity, to, please put a stop to this. But of course, no, they begin to tear away at Rhoda's clothes. And, it's all the sexual repression in this movie is now hitting that, is going berserk, off the charts in this, exploding. And, it's a horrible scene. It's very shocking, as you said. It's something that if you're not ready for it, you're not prepared. This is where this movie's going.
I was watching this on the airplane. And,
you were?
I got to this scene and I was
you're like tilting the laptop.
So I stopped. It's a pretty good airplane movie, except for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, so. Right. Yeah,
wow.
Exactly.
But then, they walk away from her. In the movie, and they leave her there by herself, lying there in the dirt by herself. But it was interesting in the commentary, they were saying that the alternate ending was that they take the camera that Rhoda used to use or was using in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, when Rhoda's in the film, when she's introduced in the film, she's got a camera and she's taking pictures of it.
Yeah.
But sorry, you were saying that the original script, the ending in the script was
that they would all take a selfie with the camera with that's what they said, at least
with Rhoda's body
with
there,
Rhoda's body on the ground, like woo, like happy summer, and then decided like, you know what, maybe that's a touch too far.
I think Frank made that call, but it's crazy that like, selfies and internet dating is in this film. Yeah.
But even the idea that came to them, that like the idea of them being so callous and so cruel and apathetic that they would do that, which rings true.
Totally.
To every.
That's going one step even farther. Yeah.
And then I was going to say too, it's like this idea, like they're cruelly sort of taking away her innocence, Rhoda's innocence, in the way that like, maybe Sandy's, childhood was stolen from her.
It's like revenge.
And I think a lot of it is this sort of anger and cynicism about like
cyclical abuse.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And like, I'm going to take away that from you, which I never had, and that's kind of her energy, I feel like, in a way throughout this
movie.
The idea being impelled to like corrupt, is coming from her own feeling of being corrupted so young, I think. Yeah. And wanting everyone to feel that same feeling, because it's almost like,
And she's kind of put these two, she perfectly kind of, spun these two guys up into a froth to kind of be
a frenzy.
To be the accomplices for this. I
do like the way that they ended it better than the selfie way, I think, with like, it's that really crushing silence, that sounds like the film gate, but then it's like the waves, and then you hear the distant seagull, and the helicopter shot pulling away, and see the full island.
Well, let's talk too about just the performances, because once after the assault, they all stand up silently. They can't look at each other. They all have their backs turned to each other. They walk back to the beach in silence. Of course, as Marcus said, there's that sound design of the waves and the birds. And Rhoda's, obviously lying there, traumatized, possibly unconscious. And then, of course, we hold on Peter's very guilty looking face in that end there. And then, of course, this is it, man. We're, along with Easy Rider, This is the early proto, pre-hardcore 70s bummer endings 101, where we're just going to get, okay, we've committed this horrible assault, perpetrated this horrible thing, roll credits,
I mean, we're also saying that it's like the death of the 60s, the death of this summer, the death of childhood. It's like the kind of the last childhood,
Innocence,
the last summer of innocence. Like you were saying, the hippie and free love. It's like that's over now.
This is the 60s. This is the 60s this is the last summer of the 60s.
Yeah, last summer of the 60s. And I think the title Last Summer is interesting because it implies that like we're looking back. So it's like it's really Peter, because Peter's the narrator actually of the book, which is interesting. He's the protagonist. He's telling the story.
Wow.
And so it's him looking back probably in like a traumatic memory of last summer,
Yes.
So there's something about that.
Like Stephen King or something.
Yeah. And it's like a nostalgia.
Or I Know What You Did Last Summer, perhaps. Yeah.
There's a detail that bugs me about the credits at the very end. And I see this in restorations a lot. When the credits pop up, all of a sudden the film freezes and you don't have any more grain. You don't have any more gate weave or anything. It's just a frozen thing. And it takes me out of it. All of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm watching a fucking DVD. I thought I was watching a film print this whole time.
They think they're supposed to fix that part.
I think so, but it's like, stop doing that. Stop fixing that. I hate that.
Yeah, it's annoying. But I mean, holy shit, guys. I mean, in terms of forecasting the bummer films of the 70s, here we fucking go. Last Summer really delivers on that.
And like a real gem. This is a good,
There we go. It's a real gem. It's a real gem.
Yeah.
Kind of in the tradition of One Fucking Hour.
Yeah.
And the films that were our foundation. So that's why we picked it.
And a good Tom movie and,
Yes.
those kind of that maybe, a recommendation. Maybe someone has not seen before.
Yeah, if you've not seen it before or, whatever, I highly recommend get the Blu-ray. It's worth it. It's a great gem to add to your collection. So, all right. Well, there you go, guys. One Fucking Hour on Last Summer. As we're in the last months
we are.
of the summer.
I know. It's very apropos.
It is, yeah. So I'm glad we did
Summer is winding down.
Summer of Bummer.
Summer of Bummer. That would have been a good summer.
That would be
of
a good
Bummer.
series. Yeah.
If we did a Summer of Bummer, this would definitely be in that series. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for riding along with us on that one. Very excited. Real quick, let's talk about next week's film, and then we're going to give you one more shout out to what we're doing here in about a week's time. All right, so 1970. Here we go. This was a difficult pick, but I think it's the right pick. This is a film that has been on the short list for a while as well, too. Again, tons of options for 1970, but this is how we're going to be kicking off the decade. Very excited about it. I saw a lot of people mentioning this title in the comments as well, too. So, okay, yep, there it is. Of course, we're going to be doing Wanda from 1970. Very excited. Great movie, man. Barbara Loden's.
Check out this book if you can.
What is it?
It's called Sweet for Barbara Loden by Nathalie Leger.
Okay.
And it's an awesome book. It's an awesome book about kind of discovering Barbara Loden and Wanda. And it's just a really beautiful book. I highly recommend.
All right, cool. Yeah, great shout out. So next week, One Fucking Hour on Wanda will be for 1970. Very excited about that. And yeah, we'll see how the rest of the decade progresses. But before we get to the 70s, we got to do a little 2026 action, y'all. So mark your calendars. Literally, get out your Cal app and mark this in there, okay? Sunday, August 16th, live right here on YouTube at 8 o'clock Eastern. We're going to go live. We haven't been live in years. I think like 3 or 4 years. We haven't been live on this program.
Forgot that you did.
We did one live show, I think, for our 50th episode maybe or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we're doing a live stream here Sunday, August 16th, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're doing a live radio call-in show, I guess, support group, you could call it, a safe and open space to discuss the Odyssey.
Safe to hate. Just
Safe to hate space to talk about the Odyssey.
Or not.
I mean, that would be shocking.
Either way.
But we're going to be talking the Odyssey amongst ourselves and, of course, with you. So we'll have a number on the screen that will flash up and you can call and we'll answer and we'll have you on and we'll talk about the Odyssey because there's a lot to talk about with this frickin' movie. But it seems like most people are under some sort of spell regarding this movie. So we figure that this might be just a safe environment to speak truthfully and honestly about how you really feel about the film without any judgment from anybody, hate mail or online bullying. It's going to be that safe environment.
It'll be all channeled to us.
Yeah.
Unless you liked it, then in which case Evan will bully you.
No,
Exactly.
No, that's not true. No, there's no, we're not, this isn't going to turn into...
Last summer.
I was going to say Eric Bogosian stuff.
Talk radio.
Yeah.
God, yeah, talk radio.
But anyway, very excited for the Odyssey call-in show. And if you guys like that format, I mean, I kind of like the idea of if we want to cover new films on the show.
Yeah, every once in a
let us
while. Why
know.
not?
Let's go live. We'll just go live and have people on and we'll talk about it. Hale, I have a lot to say about Obsession.
Yeah.
I have a lot to say about Obsession.
Oh.
So we could do that. I got a lot to say about a couple of the other movies that are coming out.
So we could do a summer movie
Colin?
call-in roundup. Odyssey is our first one.
I think Odyssey cannot be ignored. Odyssey cannot be ignored.
What was that trailer you sent me the other day, Rémy?
Oh God, fucking hell, man!
What was that?
One night only, or
wow.
with like
we can do a call-in.
What's the guy? No, I'm forgetting their name.
What is it? One night only?
Yeah, what's that guy's name? Callum Tatum or something?
Oh yeah,
or
Callum Tatum.
Callum, the husband of.
How come all we got now is Callum Tatum's? Literally, seriously,
dude,
we only have Callum.
That trailer was wild.
That
Tatum's.
trailer is horrible. I mean, we could just talk
Trailer
about the
night
for an hour.
We could do a trailer night where we just watch these fucking trailers.
It's one night only, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah, one night only
so,
with
yeah.
Callum Turner.
Turner. Okay, sorry.
But I like
Not
Callum Tatum more. Dude,
Oh,
they only cast Callum Tatums now. It's like Rat Boy Summer is here to stay.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's like
okay.
Zendaya and Callum Tatum.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
everything, yeah.
Exactly. So, all right, guys, very excited. August 16th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Be there, be square. We're going live. The chat's going to be going live, and we're going to have a phone line open. And yeah, it's going to be very exciting. Odyssey live call-in show. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks so much again. Quick shout out, patreon.com/onefuckinghour. You can sign up there for $5 a month. We're going to have a new bonus episode hopefully soon. We got some travel stuff coming up. Rémy, you're gone. You're out. What is it? A week after next? And
yes, I am.
okay. Well, we're going to have to figure out when we're going to do that bonus ep, but it's going to be worth it, man. The Red Flag films. I got my short list already going. I'm very excited to hear what you guys have to say about that.
Okay, cool.
Fuck, that's going to be a killer episode.
I can do a remote. I can call in remotely too for that one if we.
For Red Flag films?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just throwing out.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Live stream.
Live stream.
No, we should do that. While you're gone, we should try.
I was asking my mom, and what her red flag.
Oh yeah,
movie
this
would
is
be.
hilarious.
And she said, any Terminator movie.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, really?
That's a bizarre
Wow.
take.
I know. I was okay.
She's my mother-in-law, so I love her. Bizarre take. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But no, guys, Red Flag Films, very excited. That's going to be up in the Patreon. Or if you click the join button underneath this video, you can become a moment of the channel. We appreciate your support. 100% of all that support goes to support Tom Fitzgerald. And just quickly, I'm obliged contractually to show this on the screen. Okay, it disappeared. Okay, I'll flash it right now. It looks like, Ian, you're going to have to put this up on the screen, but here it is. If you want to send a letter to Tom Fitzgerald, a get well card, he would really appreciate it. We've amassed quite a bit of them so far, but I'm going to be going to Los Angeles in September, and I want to bring those all with me.
Oh, yeah.
So please, everybody, send in your get well cards before September, because we're going to have a big old bag to show Tom. And write to the address on your screen. It's at my P.O. Box, which is 697 Grand Street, Box 166, Brooklyn, New York, 11211, and we'll get it directly to Tom. All right, guys, thank you so much. And of course, we cannot leave you without your moment of Zen. All right, everybody, have a good rest of your week. So long, goodbye, And we'll see you in the 70s.
Yeah.
After a little odyssey. Bye.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
That was wicked, man.